Welcome to English in Fluency. I am your host, Alex, and today we have something very special for your ears. Have you ever been listening to a native English speaker and felt like they were just speaking in one long, continuous sound, like a river flowing without any breaks? You catch a word here, a word there, but by the time you are trying to understand one part, they have already moved 3 sentences ahead. It feels exhausting, doesn't it? You might think the problem is your vocabulary, or maybe you think they are speaking too fast. But what if I told you that the secret to understanding natural English is not just about knowing more words? It is about understanding the silence and the music between the words. Today, we are going to master the art of listening to natural pauses and rhythm. We are going to learn how to catch the waves of spoken English so you can ride with them instead of drowning in them. This is going to be a deep dive into the sound of real English, so get comfortable. Maybe close your eyes for just a moment and let your ears do the work. We are going to follow a story about a group of friends planning a big event, and through their conversations, we will uncover the hidden beats of the English language. This is English in Fluency, and let's get started. So, picture this scene. It is a sunny Tuesday morning in a small town, and we are in a cozy little coffee shop called The Grind. In the corner, there are 4 friends sitting around a wooden table. They are drinking lattes and cappuccinos, and they are talking about a project they want to do for their community. Let's meet the first friend. Her name is Sarah. Sarah is the kind of person who has a lot of energy. When she speaks, she often speaks quickly because she has so many ideas in her head. Then there is Mark. Mark is the opposite. He is very calm and logical. He thinks before he speaks. Then we have Emily, who is very creative and artistic. And finally, David, who is a bit shy but very good with technical things. They want to organize a community art and music festival in the local park. Now, listen to how Sarah starts the conversation. Notice how she doesn't just say words flatly. She groups them together. She says, "Okay, everyone, I have been thinking about this festival for weeks, and I really believe we can make it happen if we start planning right now." Do you hear how that works? She didn't say, "Okay, everyone, I have been." She said, "Okay, everyone." Then a tiny break. Then, "I have been thinking about this festival for weeks." And then another break before, "And I really believe we can make it happen." This is the first secret of natural rhythm. English speakers speak in thought groups. We don't speak word by word. We speak in phrases. Now, Mark responds to Sarah. He is the logical one, so his rhythm is different. He says, "That sounds great, Sarah, really. But we need to look at the practical side of things. We have a budget, and we have a timeline. And we need to know if the town council will even give us the permission to use the park." Listen to the pauses Mark uses. He says, "That sounds great, Sarah, really." Pause. "But we need to look at the practical side of things." The pause after "really" is very important. It signals a contrast. The word "but" is coming. When you are listening, if you hear that kind of pause, your brain should instantly prepare for a change in direction, a disagreement, or a limitation. If you miss that pause, you might think Mark is agreeing completely, but he is actually introducing a problem. This is what we call the contrastive rhythm. The voice often goes down a little bit at the end of the first part and then comes back up for the "but" part. Understanding these small changes in pitch and speed helps you follow the conversation even if you don't know every single word. It is like listening to music. You know when the song is about to change because the beat changes. Let's jump back into the scene. Emily, the artist, chimes in. She is excited, but she is also a bit of a dreamer. She says, "Oh, come on, Mark. Don't be such a pessimist. We can paint the benches ourselves, and my band can play the music for free. It doesn't have to be expensive to be beautiful." Now, notice the speed here. Emily speaks faster when she is listing things. She says, "We can paint the benches ourselves," and then immediately connects it to, "and my band can play the music for free." When people are listing reasons or examples, they often speed up the rhythm to show enthusiasm and to connect the ideas. The pauses become shorter. The words flow together. Paint the benches links into "and my band." It almost sounds like one long word if you aren't careful. This is linking rhythm. As a listener, you need to recognize that when the speed increases, the speaker is probably building an argument or adding to a list. You don't need to stop and analyze every word. Just let the flow carry you to the main point, which is that it doesn't need to be expensive. David, who is usually quiet, finally speaks up. This is a great moment to practice listening to hesitation. David says, "Well, I could help with the sound system. I have some equipment at home and I know how to set it up safely, so we wouldn't need to rent anything." Did you hear the hesitation at the beginning? "Well, I could—" Those little breaks or filled pauses like or "ah" are not mistakes. They are thinking time. When you hear a native speaker hesitate, it usually means they are about to offer an opinion or a solution, but they are politely making space for themselves in the conversation. If you are listening, you should perk up your ears when you hear that hesitation because something important or personal is likely coming next. David is contributing something valuable, the sound system, but he takes a moment to gather his courage. If you ignore the hesitation, you might miss the transition from silence to speech. The rhythm goes from silence to a slow start, and then speeds up as he gains confidence explaining what he can do. Now, let's talk about something called sentence stress. This is crucial for B1 learners. In every sentence, there are words that are important, the content words, and words that are grammar glue, the function words. Native speakers stress the content words and glide over the function words. Let's listen to Sarah again as she tries to convince the group. She says, "We need to get permits from the town council." If you were writing this, you might write, "We need to get permits from the town council." But when she speaks it, the words need, permits, town, and council are longer, louder, and higher in pitch. The words we, to, get, from, and the are very short and quiet. They almost disappear. It sounds like, "We need to get permits from the town council." Your ear needs to be tuned to catch those stressed words. If you focus on the unstressed words, you will get lost. But if you catch need, permits, town, council, you understand 80% of the message. This is the rhythm of English. It is a beat of strong and weak. Strong, weak, strong, weak. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. Imagine the conversation continues. Mark is looking at his notebook, and he is getting a bit worried about the timeline. He says, "Okay, if we are serious about this, we have to submit the application by Friday. That gives us only 3 days to finalize the plan." Listen to the stress on serious, submit, application, Friday, and 3 days. The rest is just filler. If we are, blends together. By Friday, links together. When you are practicing listening, try to tap your finger every time you hear a stressed word. For Mark's sentence, you would tap on Siri, sub, app, fry, and 3. That tapping is the rhythm. If you can find the rhythm, the words start to pop out at you. It is like turning on a flashlight in a dark room. The unstressed words are the shadows, but the stressed words are clear. Let's move the story forward. The group agrees to go to the town council office. They finish their coffee and walk out of the shop. Now they are walking down the street. The environment is different, so their speech changes. They are walking side by side, not looking at each other directly. This often makes the speech more casual and a bit choppier because they are also watching where they are going. Sarah says, "So, David, are you sure the speakers are loud enough for the park? It is a big space." David replies, "Yeah, they are pretty powerful. I used them for a party last summer, and everyone could hear the music clearly." Here, pretty powerful is a phrase where the stress is on powerful. Pretty acts as an amplifier, but it is not stressed. It is pretty powerful. And notice how David says, "Yeah, they are," which sounds like "you're there." This is connected speech. The Y from they and the A from are blend into a you're sound. If you are listening for the clear textbook pronunciation, they are, you might miss it because real people say they're or even you're. This is why listening to rhythm is so helpful. You know he is agreeing because of the tone and the rhythm, even if the word yeah is very short and blurred. As they walk, they encounter a small obstacle. There is construction on the sidewalk. They have to stop and figure out how to get around it. This interruption changes the rhythm of their speech completely. They stop walking. The conversation pauses. This is a natural, environmental pause. When the physical action stops, the speech often stops too, or becomes very slow. Mark says, "Oh, great, now we have to cross the street. This is going to take extra time." The tone of his voice drops because he is annoyed. The rhythm becomes heavier. "Oh, great," with a sarcastic stress on great. Then a longer pause. "Now we have to cross the street." The annoyance is conveyed not just by the words, but by the length of the sounds and the pauses between them. If he were happy, he would say it quickly. "Oh, great! New adventure!" But because he is annoyed, he drags it out. Listening for emotion is a big part of understanding pauses. A long pause can mean someone is thinking, confused, or annoyed. You have to look at the context, or in this case, listen to the tone of voice that comes after the pause. They finally get to the town council office. It is a big, old building with high ceilings. The acoustics are strange. They go to the reception desk. The receptionist, an older lady named Mrs. Higgins, speaks very slowly and clearly. This is actually a great listening exercise for B1 learners because she speaks in a very careful rhythm. She doesn't use as much linking. She says, "Good morning. How may I help you today?" Sarah steps forward and says, "Good morning. We would like to apply for a permit to hold a festival in the Central Park." Mrs. Higgins replies, "I see. Do you have the forms filled out?" Notice the short, detached sentences. "I see. Do you have the forms filled out?" There is a clear pause after "I see." It is not "I see, do you have?" It is "I see." Pause. Do you have? This is segmentary speech. It is often used in formal situations or when speaking to strangers. It is easier to understand than the fast, linked speech of the friends in the coffee shop. As you improve your listening, you will get used to switching between these two rhythms, the fast, flowing rhythm of friends and the slow, segmented rhythm of formal situations. While they are waiting for the forms, they sit in a waiting area. Emily starts looking at her phone and finds some inspiration. She says, "Guys, look at this. There is a famous artist who makes sculptures out of recycled plastic. Maybe we could do a workshop like that." This is exciting news, so her rhythm goes up. The pitch of her voice rises. "Guys, look at this." The pauses are very short because she is eager. "Maybe we could do a workshop like that." She doesn't pause after workshop. She rushes to the end of the sentence to share the idea. When you hear this kind of fast, high-pitched rhythm, you should know that the speaker is excited and sharing new information. It is the discovery rhythm. Mark, however, is still thinking about the logistics. He is the realist of the group. He says, "That is a cool idea, Em, really. But where would we get the plastic? And who would lead the workshop? We don't have any artists lined up." Here, Mark uses the questioning rhythm. He asks 3 questions in a row. But where would we get the plastic? And who would lead the workshop? We don't have any artists lined up. The stress falls on the question words, where, who, and the key nouns, plastic, workshop. In English questions, the rhythm usually goes up at the end. Plastic? Workshop. It signals that he is really asking, not just making a statement. If you hear the voice go up at the end, your brain should register a question. Even if you didn't hear the word where, the rise in pitch tells you a question is being asked. David, sitting quietly, suddenly has a realization. He says, "Wait, my uncle is an artist. He lives in the next town. He does stuff with metal and wood. Maybe he could help?" The rhythm here starts with a disruption marker. Wait. This word acts like a break. It stops the flow of the previous conversation. Everyone stops talking. Then David shares his idea. The rhythm is hesitant at first. Maybe he could help, because he is not sure. The pitch goes up at the end because it is a suggestion, a question to the group. Maybe he could help? It is not a statement of fact. It is a polite proposal. Learning to hear the difference between a statement and a suggestion is all about hearing that little rise in pitch at the end of the sentence. He could help is a fact. He could help is a suggestion. They take the forms and leave the office. They are standing outside on the steps. It is getting late in the afternoon. The sun is starting to go down. The mood is a bit more serious now because they have the paperwork, which makes it real. Sarah takes a deep breath and says, "Okay, this is it. We have 3 days. We need to split up the work. Mark, you handle the budget. Emily, you handle the creative design. David, you talk to your uncle. And I will handle the council." This is command rhythm. It is steady, authoritative, and clear. Sarah uses pauses to separate the tasks. Mark, you handle the budget. Pause. Emily, you handle the creative design. Pause. David, you talk to your uncle. These pauses are crucial. If she said it all in one breath, nobody would know who is doing what. The pauses act like fences, separating the tasks for each person. When you hear a list of instructions, listen for the pauses. The pause tells you, "Okay, that part is done. Here comes the next part." Let's practice a moment of deep listening here. I want you to imagine you are David, standing there on those steps. Sarah is looking at you. She says, David, you talk to your uncle. You hear your name, that gets your attention. Then you hear the command, talk to your uncle. The rhythm is simple. Name, action, object. It is very clear. But what if she said, David, since you know him, could you perhaps ask your uncle if he would be interested in helping us with the artistic side of things? That is a much longer, more complex sentence. The rhythm becomes wave-like. It goes up and down. David. Up, since you know him. Down fast. Could you perhaps ask? Up. Your uncle. Down. If he would be interested. Up. In helping us? Down. With the artistic side of things. Up at the end. This undulating rhythm is very common in polite requests. It is soft and rolling. Being able to follow the wave, knowing when to go up and when to go down, helps you catch the meaning even in a long sentence. You don't get lost because you are riding the waves of her voice. As they part ways to go home, they use closing rhythm. This is the rhythm of saying goodbye. It is usually faster, lighter, and has a distinctive falling pitch at the very end to signal finality. Emily says, All right, I'm going to the library to get some design books. See you guys later. Mark says, I'm going home to make a spreadsheet. Talk tomorrow. David says, I'll call my uncle tonight. Bye. Notice how everyone ends with a falling tone. Later. Tomorrow. Bye. The voice drops down. It is a musical signal that the conversation is over. If you are on the phone or listening to a dialogue, hearing that drop in pitch tells you that you don't need to listen for a response. It is the period at the end of the paragraph. If the pitch stays up, like bye, it means they are waiting for you to say something back. But bye means done. So, in this first part, we have looked at how English speakers use rhythm to group thoughts, how they use pauses to signal contrasts or lists, how they stress important words, and how the pitch of their voice shows emotion, questions, and the end of a conversation. We met Sarah, Mark, Emily, and David, and we saw how their personalities changed the rhythm of their speech. Sarah was fast and energetic. Mark was slow and logical. Emily was dreamy and flowing. David was hesitant and then gaining confidence. All of these rhythms are natural. To improve your fluency, you must not just learn the words, you must learn the music of the words. When you listen to English, don't just listen for the grammar. Listen for the beat. Is it fast or slow? Are there long pauses or short ones? Is the voice going up or down? When you start to notice these things, the language will stop sounding like noise and start sounding like communication. You will find that you can predict what is coming next, simply by hearing the rhythm change. You will hear a but coming because of the pause. You will hear a question coming because of the rise in pitch. You will hear a list coming because of the speed. This is the secret to following spoken English smoothly. It is not about translating every word in your head. It is about feeling the flow. Now, we are going to take a short break here, just like our friends took a break when they went home. But when we come back, we are going to dive even deeper. We are going to look at what happens when things go wrong. We are going to listen to a conversation where there is a misunderstanding, and we will use rhythm and pauses to figure out where the problem is. We will also practice listening to different accents and how they change the rhythm slightly. So, stay with us on English in Fluency. I am Alex, and I will see you in Part 2. Welcome back to English in Fluency. I am Alex, and we are continuing our journey into the heart of natural English rhythm and pauses. In the first part, we met our friends, Sarah, Mark, Emily, and David, as they began their exciting project to organize a community festival. We learned how to listen to the music of their speech, the stressed words, and the thought groups. Now, the story continues. It is 2 days later. The group has met at Mark's house to work on the budget and the designs. But things are not going as smoothly as they did in the coffee shop. There is stress, there is disagreement, and there is a lot of natural, messy English. This is actually the best practice for you because real life is not a textbook. Real conversations have interruptions, overlapping speech, and confusion. Let's listen in and see how we can use rhythm to navigate through the chaos. The scene is Mark's living room. There are papers everywhere. Mark is sitting at a desk with a calculator. Sarah is pacing back and forth. Emily is sketching on a pad, and David is on his phone trying to reach his uncle. The atmosphere is tense. You can hear it in the rhythm of their speech. Tense English is often faster, sharper, and louder. Mark slams his pen down and says, "Look, we simply cannot afford to rent a tent for the band. It costs $500, and we only have $200. Notice the stress here. Simply cannot afford. The words are hard and crisp. There is almost no linking between afford and to. It is afford to. The pause is a block of anger. It stops the flow. When a speaker is frustrated, they often chop their sentences into short, sharp pieces. We have no money. It is like hitting a drum. If you are listening, this sharp rhythm tells you immediately that there is a problem, even if you don't know what tent or rent means. Sarah stops pacing and turns to face him. Her voice is high and defensive. She says, "Well, what do you suggest we do, Mark? Let the band play in the rain? It is supposed to rain on Saturday." This is a challenging rhythm. The pitch goes up at the end of, "What do you suggest we do, Mark?" It is not a genuine question asking for advice. It is an aggressive challenge. The rhythm is fast and pushes forward. Let the band play in the rain? She rushes through this hypothetical scenario to show how ridiculous it is. Then she slows down for the fact. It is supposed to rain on Saturday. By slowing down here, she emphasizes the threat. The contrast between the fast, "Let the band play in the rain," and the slow, "Supposed to rain on Saturday," highlights the urgency. When you hear a speaker switch from very fast to very slow within one sentence, they are usually pointing out the most important part of their argument. The fast part is the setup. The slow part is the punchline. Emily, trying to keep the peace, interrupts. Interruption is a very common part of natural rhythm. In English, we don't always wait for a full stop before we start speaking. We jump in when we hear a pause, or even when we take a breath. Emily says, "Guys, wait. Maybe we don't need a big tent. What if we just set up under the park pavilion? It has a roof." Notice how she starts with, "Guys, wait." This is an interruption marker. It alerts the others that she is taking the floor. Her rhythm is completely different from Mark's anger and Sarah's panic. It is problem-solving rhythm. It is steady, calm, and logical. She slows down on the solution. What if we just set up under the park pavilion? She puts a tiny pause before under the park pavilion to let the idea sink in. She wants them to visualize the space. It is a very inviting rhythm. It says, "Calm down. Listen to this." Mark stops typing on his calculator. He thinks for a moment. The silence is heavy. Then he says, "The pavilion, I didn't think about that. It might work, but is it big enough for the sound equipment? The rhythm here is thinking rhythm. It starts slow. The pavilion, hmm. The is a vocalized pause. It fills the silence while his brain is working. Then the rhythm speeds up as he processes the idea. I didn't think about that. This is a quick admission. Then it slows down again for the new concern. But is it big enough for the sound equipment? When you hear a speaker slow down after saying "but," you know a new constraint or problem is coming. The word "but" is almost always a signpost that the rhythm is about to change direction. David finally puts his phone down. He looks unhappy. This changes the energy in the room again. His rhythm is disappointment rhythm. It is lower, quieter, and has less energy. He says, "Bad news, guys. My uncle is out of town. He can't make it." He pauses. The silence here is awkward. It communicates his feelings just as much as his words. He doesn't need to say, "I am sad, and I feel like I let you down." The pause does it for him. Then he adds, "But he said he could send us some videos on how to build stage decorations." The "but" here is a lifeline. It is a pivot rhythm. The voice goes up slightly on "but," signaling hope. The rhythm becomes faster and lighter as he offers the alternative solution. He said he could send us some videos. The stress is on send and videos. He is emphasizing the solution, not the problem. As a listener, you should learn to latch onto these "but" pivots. They signal that the conversation is moving from negative to positive. Now, let's look at a complex interaction where the rhythm helps us understand who is talking to whom. Sarah, Emily, and David start discussing the decorations, while Mark goes back to his calculator. In the background, you can hear the clicking of the calculator keys. This is background rhythm. It adds a layer of realism. Sarah says, "Okay, videos are good. Emily, can you watch them and figure out what materials we need?" Emily says, "Sure, I can do that tonight." Sarah says, "Great. And David, can you ask your friend, the one with the van, if he can help us transport everything?" Here we have a series of requests. The rhythm is task-oriented rhythm, short sentences, clear subject-verb-object structure. Emily, can you watch? David, can you ask? The pauses between the speakers are very short. It is a ping-pong rhythm. Sarah hits the ball. Emily hits it back. Sarah hits it to David. There is no wasted time. When you hear this kind of quick exchange, you know that planning is happening and action is being taken. It is a very productive rhythm. Suddenly, Mark interrupts the ping-pong game. He has found a big error in the budget. He shouts, "Wait! Stop, everyone! We have a major problem." The rhythm is an alarm rhythm. The word "wait" is loud and stretched out. "Stop, everyone" is sharp and commanding. Then, a long pause. We have a major problem. The pause builds suspense. Everyone stops talking. The silence focuses all attention on Mark. This is the power of the pause. If Mark had just said, "Hey guys, I think I found a problem with the budget," nobody would have stopped working immediately. But by using a loud, sharp word followed by silence, he controls the room. When you hear a sudden loud word followed by total silence in a group conversation, you know something critical is about to be said. It is a listening cue to pay 100% attention. Mark continues, "I added up the costs for the permits and the insurance, and we are over budget by $100. We can't even pay the application fee." The rhythm here is flat and heavy. It is the rhythm of defeat. There are no ups and downs in his voice, just a steady, low tone. We are over budget. We can't even pay. The linking is minimal. The words are distinct. This flat rhythm indicates sadness or resignation. In contrast, if he were angry, the rhythm would be sharp. If he were confused, the rhythm would go up at the end. But here, it is just straight. Hearing this flat tone tells you that the speaker sees no way out right now. Sarah, being the leader, refuses to accept the defeat. Her rhythm shifts to persuasion rhythm. She says, "No, Mark, don't say that. We are not over budget. We just need to be creative. What if we do a car wash tomorrow? We could raise the money in one day." Her voice gets louder and faster as she speaks. "No, Mark, don't say that." This is a quick denial. We are not over budget. Strong stress on not. Then she offers the solution with a rising, optimistic rhythm. "What if we do a car wash tomorrow?" The pitch goes up on car wash. It is an exciting idea. The rhythm pulls the listeners out of the flat, sad rhythm and into a new, energetic one. It is amazing how much a change in rhythm can change the mood of a group. If you are in a conversation and the rhythm changes from flat to energetic, you know the mood has shifted from sadness to hope. David chimes in again, supporting Sarah. "I can help with the car wash. I have soap, buckets, and sponges at my house." This is contributing rhythm. It is steady and helpful. He lists the items with a listing rhythm. Da da da. Soap, buckets, and sponges. The stress is equal on each item. It sounds like a drum beat. Soap, buckets, sponges. This equal stress tells you that these items are of equal importance. If he had said, "I have soap, buckets, and expensive sponges," the rhythm would have been different, highlighting the last item. But here, it is just a list. Listening for the list beat helps you categorize information quickly. You know you don't need to analyze the relationship between soap and buckets. You just need to remember that they are things you need. Emily adds, "And I can make posters. We can put them up at the supermarket." And I can make posters. The rhythm is light and quick. It connects immediately to the previous idea. It shows agreement and addition. In English, we often start sentences with "and" in casual conversation to show we are adding to the previous thought. The rhythm flows from one speaker to the next without stopping. David lists items. Emily adds her idea. The rhythm keeps moving. It is a collaborative rhythm. It feels like a single stream of consciousness being shared by the group. Mark sighs, but the rhythm of his sigh changes. It is not a sigh of defeat anymore. It is a sigh of resignation to the plan. He says, okay, a car wash. It is better than nothing, but we have to start early." The okay is a yielding rhythm. It is fast and repeated. It shows he is giving in. It is better than nothing. The stress is on better. He is admitting it is a good plan, even if it is not his first choice. But we have to start early. The rhythm becomes authoritative again at the end. He is the planner, so he has to add the constraint. The shift from the fast, okay, to the slow, but we have to start early, shows that he is accepting the plan, but taking control of the logistics. So, in this second part, we have experienced a roller coaster of emotions and rhythms. We heard the sharp, angry rhythm of an argument. We heard the calm, problem-solving rhythm of a peacekeeper. We heard the disappointment rhythm of bad news, and the pivot rhythm of finding a solution. We heard the alarm rhythm of a sudden discovery and the flat rhythm of defeat. Finally, we heard the persuasive rhythm of hope and the collaborative rhythm of a team working together. Why is this important for your B1 listening practice? Because if you can identify the rhythm, you can understand the situation without understanding every word. If you hear the sharp, angry rhythm, you know there is a conflict. If you hear the flat rhythm, you know someone is sad. If you hear the listing rhythm, you know people are planning. You can use the rhythm as a map to guide you through the conversation. We also practiced listening to interruptions and background noise. Real English is not turn-taking like a classroom game. It is messy. People talk over each other. They say and ah. They make noises like or ugh. All of these sounds are part of the rhythm. Don't block them out. Use them. A sigh tells you a story. A sharp but tells you a change is coming. A high pitch at the end tells you it is a question. These are the landmarks of spoken English. When you are listening to a podcast, a movie, or a real conversation, try to close your eyes and just feel the beat. Is it marching? Is it flowing? Is it stumbling? Is it soaring? This feeling will connect you to the meaning of the words on a deeper level. Now, our friends have a plan. They are going to do a car wash to raise money. They are going to use the pavilion instead of renting a tent. They are going to watch videos to learn how to decorate. They have moved through the chaos and found a new path. In the final part of our script, we are going to see the result of all their hard work. We will go to the festival itself. We will listen to the rhythm of public announcements, the rhythm of introducing performers, and the rhythm of people enjoying themselves. We will also practice the most difficult skill of all, understanding connected speech in a noisy, crowded environment. Are you ready to hear how it all ends? Are you ready to practice listening to the smooth flow of success? Join me for part 3, right here on English in Fluency. Welcome to the final part of our listening journey on English in Fluency. I am Alex. We have followed Sarah, Mark, Emily, and David from the coffee shop through the stress of planning and the crisis of the budget to the day of the festival. It is Saturday morning. The sun is shining, just as it usually does in stories where things work out. The air is buzzing with excitement. The location is the Central Park, specifically the pavilion that Emily suggested. Today, we are going to focus on the rhythm of public speaking, announcements, and the fast, overlapping speech of a social event. This is the ultimate test for your ears, but don't worry. We will navigate it together. The festival is starting. People are arriving. There is music playing in the background, children laughing, and the sound of feet on the gravel. This is ambient noise. In a real listening situation, you rarely have silence. You have to filter out the noise to hear the message. Sarah is standing near the entrance, welcoming people. She is using her public speaking rhythm. This is louder, slower, and more articulated than her casual speech. She says, "Good morning. Welcome to the first annual Community Art and Music Festival. Please, come in and enjoy the music and the art." Notice how she stretches the vowels. "Good morning. Welcome." She projects her voice to the back of the crowd. The pauses are longer so people can process the information. "Good morning." Pause. "Welcome to." Pause. When you hear someone using this projected, open rhythm, you know they are addressing a group. It is very different from the intimate, fast rhythm she used with her friends in the coffee shop. Listening for this open throat sound helps you identify when someone is performing or making an announcement versus having a private chat. Inside the pavilion, Mark is at the sound desk, which David set up. Mark is doing a sound check. He speaks into the microphone. The sound is amplified. He says, "Testing, 1, 2. Is the volume okay in the back?" The rhythm is technical rhythm. It is flat and repetitive. Testing, 1, 2. There is no emotion here. It is purely functional. He waits for a response. Someone in the back yells, "It's a bit quiet." Mark adjusts a knob and says, "How about now?" Perfect. This is a feedback loop. Short questions, short answers. The rhythm is quick and efficient. It is not about socializing. It is about fixing a problem. In your daily life, you will hear this kind of rhythm in shops, airports, and offices. It is very practical. The key is to listen for the key noun, usually the thing being adjusted or the problem. Volume? Quiet? Perfect? Emily is busy showing people the art installations. She is talking to a group of visitors. Her rhythm is enthusiastic explanation rhythm. It involves a lot of listing and describing. She says, "Over here, we have sculptures made from recycled bottles, and if you look closely, you can see they are painted in colors that represent the 4 seasons." She speeds up when listing the objects and the actions, and slows down when she wants them to look at something specific. And if you look closely, she stretches the word closely to draw their attention. This is a focus marker. Whenever a speaker suddenly slows down and gets louder on one word, that word is the key to the sentence. If you miss everything else, catch that word. In this case, closely. It tells you to pay attention to the next part of the sentence. David is walking around with a clipboard, making sure everything is running smoothly. He bumps into an old friend, Tom. The rhythm instantly switches to casual greeting rhythm. This is one of the hardest rhythms for learners because it is full of reduced sounds and abbreviations. David says, "Hey, Tom. Man, I didn't expect to see you here. How's it going?" In natural speech, this sounds like, "Hey, Tom. Man, I didn't expect to see you here. How's it going?" The did not becomes didn't. The expect to becomes spect-t. The you becomes ya. The rhythm is bouncy and light. The stresses fall on hey, Tom, man, spect, see, and goin'. The rest is just a blur of sound. Tom replies, "Pretty good, pretty good. Heard you guys organize this whole thing? It's impressive." Pretty good, pretty good. The repetition is a common rhythm in greetings. It means, "I am fine, and I am acknowledging you quickly." Heard you guys. The have is dropped. It's impressive. The stress is on impressive. Understanding this casual greeting rhythm requires you to stop looking for full grammatical sentences and start listening for chunks of sound. "How's it going?" is one chunk. "Pretty good" is another chunk. Don't break it down word by word. As the afternoon goes on, it is time for the band to play. Sarah takes the stage again. She introduces the band. This is a performance introduction rhythm. It builds anticipation. She says, "And now, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our very own local band, the Park Rangers." She starts low and slow. "And now," then she speeds up and gets louder. "Ladies and gentlemen." Then she pauses for effect. "Please put your hands together." This is a cue for the audience to clap. She uses the rhythm to control the audience's behavior. If you listen to a concert or a show, the announcer always uses this building rhythm. They start quiet, get loud, pause, and then announce the name. The name of the band, the Park Rangers, is said with the most energy and the highest pitch. The Park Rangers! It is the climax of the sentence. When you hear that peak in energy, you know the main event is starting. The band starts playing. It is loud and fun. After a few songs, the singer, a friend of the group named Lisa, takes the microphone between songs. She talks to the crowd. Her rhythm is the stage banter rhythm. It is very relaxed, filled with slang and laughter. She says, "Wow, you guys are awesome tonight. We're gonna play a little something for you now, a song about summer. Hope you like it. You guys are awesome. The stress is on awesome. We're gonna play." Going to becomes gonna. This is a classic contraction in natural speech. Hope you like it. The pitch goes up at the end, inviting a positive reaction. This rhythm is designed to make the audience feel comfortable and excited. It is very informal. Words are blended together. Hope you like it can sound like one long word. Hope you like it. To understand this, you have to rely on the context. You know she is at a concert, so she is probably going to introduce a song. You don't need to hear every syllable of "hope you like it" to know what she means. Later in the evening, there is a small hiccup. The power to the amplifier cuts out for a second. The music stops. There is a moment of silence, followed by a murmur from the crowd. This is a crisis rhythm. The rhythm of the crowd is confused. It is a low hum of many voices talking at once. It is not a single rhythm, but a chaotic texture. Mark rushes to the sound desk. He is speaking quickly to David. "Check the cable. Is it plugged in?" David checks. "Yes, it's tight." Mark says, "It must be the fuse. Hold on." The rhythm here is emergency rhythm. It is telegraphic. They drop words. "Check the cable." Instead of, "Could you please check the cable?" "Is it plugged in?" is a full question, but said very fast. "It must be the fuse." A quick deduction. "Hold on." A command. In emergencies, English grammar simplifies. We focus on the verbs and the nouns. Cable, plugged, fuse, hold on. If you are in an emergency situation, listen for the action words. That is where the information is. Mark fixes the fuse. The power comes back on. The crowd cheers. The rhythm of the cheer is a release rhythm. It is loud, chaotic, and joyful. Yay! Woohoo! It is not linguistic. It is pure sound and rhythm. But then, Mark speaks into the microphone to reassure everyone. His rhythm returns to the public speaking rhythm, but with a touch of humor. "Sorry about that, folks. Just a little technical difficulty. We are back in business." "Sorry about that," fast and polite. "Just a little technical difficulty." He uses a lighter tone to downplay the problem. "We are back in business." This is an idiom. It means we are working again. He stresses back and business. The rhythm is bouncy and resolves the tension. The crowd laughs and relaxes. The rhythm of the event smooths out again. At the end of the night, the friends are tired but happy. They are cleaning up. The rhythm now is winding down rhythm. It is slow, quiet, and satisfied. Sarah sits on the edge of the stage. She says, "We did it. I can't believe we actually pulled it off." Her voice is soft. The pauses are long. She is reflecting. Mark sweeps the floor. He says, "Yeah, it was crazy, but it was worth it." The "but it was worth it" is a slow, thoughtful conclusion. The stress is on worth. Emily is stacking chairs. She says, "People really loved the art. I heard so many compliments." The rhythm here is appreciative. She is remembering the positive feedback. David is coiling cables. He says, And the sound was great, once we fixed that fuse. He laughs softly. The rhythm is light and joking. They stand together in the middle of the empty pavilion. Sarah looks at them and says, "Thank you, guys. I couldn't have done this without you." This is the gratitude rhythm. It is sincere and slow. She stresses you and without you. The emotion is carried by the length of the words. Thank you. If she said it quickly, "Thanks, guys," it would be casual. But stretching it out makes it deep and meaningful. Listening for vowel length is a great way to detect emotion. Long vowels usually mean sincerity, sadness, or emphasis. Short vowels usually mean speed, efficiency, or lack of emotion. So we have reached the end of our story. We have heard the friends navigate excitement, stress, conflict, public performance, technical failure, and finally, success. Through it all, the rhythm of their English changed to match the situation. As a B1 learner, your goal is to become aware of these changes. When you listen to English, don't treat it as a code that needs to be translated word for word. Treat it as music that needs to be felt. Listen to the speed. Is it fast, like the listing rhythm, or slow, like the thinking rhythm? Listen to the pauses. Are they short, like the ping-pong rhythm, or long, like the public speaking rhythm? Listen to the pitch. Is it going up like a question, or down like a statement? If you can master the skill of hearing the rhythm, you will find that your ability to follow spoken English improves dramatically. You will be able to guess the meaning of new words based on the beat of the sentence. You will understand when someone is joking because of the playful rhythm. You will know when someone is serious because of the flat rhythm. You will be able to jump into conversations because you can hear the interruption markers. English fluency is not just about speaking perfectly. It is about listening deeply. It is about connecting with the speaker's intent and emotion through the sound of their voice. I hope you enjoyed listening to the story of Sarah, Mark, Emily, and David as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. Remember, every conversation you hear is a chance to practice. Listen to the podcasts, watch the movies, talk to your neighbors, but always keep one ear open for the rhythm. Let the music of the language guide you. Thank you for listening to this special long-form episode of English in Fluency. I am Alex, reminding you to listen closely, speak clearly, and ride the waves of English rhythm. If you liked this practice, please make sure to subscribe to the channel for more listening exercises. See you next time, and keep practicing.